actually affected me. Qinghan still hadn't recovered from the extreme fear, just this one move, and it forced me to lose everything. What kind of monster is the slashing god elder? I can't stay here for too long, I must quickly inform the blood flame heavenly gate. He thought to himself, forcing himself to stand up. The yin-yang separation technique means that the soul and body are separated. Once one of them dies, the remaining part will automatically revert to its original form. It was this that saved Qing Xian when his self-destruction attempt failed. Back to Hanju, he witnessed with his own eyes as Qing Xian's body exploded into thousands of pieces. He didn't miss the spiritual energy swirling and bending at the midline. Hanju frowned in displeasure when he saw it. Once again, the avatar's strength has been exposed. He turned around and stood, looking around. I was careless. The enemy is also very cautious. This will be hard to deal with next. Did I go too easy on them? Will the old man come again? Suddenly, Hanju thought of a good friend and hurriedly searched his body. After a moment, he took out a token covered in talismans and muttered, "This will make targeting much easier." On a morning 3 years later, in the Blood Flame Heavenly Gate camp, the sound of counting kept ringing out, 1, 2. Several disciples shouted in unison while practicing enthusiastically. Lu Bumiang scolded sternly, "Forget about the hair, focus on fighting seriously in every battle." Suddenly, a weak voice sounded, "Junior brother, have you finally returned?" He turned his head and immediately was stunned. Seeing Qing Xian in such a sorry state, covered in wounds. He trembled and replied, "I lost my avatar, and the backlash of my vital energy caused serious injuries. But most importantly, I encountered all sorts of misfortunes on the way back." After hearing Qing Xian's explanation, Lu Bumiang stopped worrying too much. He suddenly looked curiously at the person behind him. "Junior brother, who is this?" Behind him was a banner that read, "Grand Oath Ceremony of the Great Yin." Lu Bumiang happily answered, "Our sect's disciples have completed their training. Together, we will pacify the Great Yin." He smiled happily, squinting his eyes with full confidence. Qing Xian immediately thought of Hanju, whose image was like a ghost coming to collect debts, and he was so scared he almost cried out, screaming, "Do not go to the Great Yin." There was an intense shout from the Blood Flame Heavenly Gate camp, "Junior brother, you absolutely can't. The Jade Qing sect of the Great Yin has very powerful experts. Even I can't block one of their moves." The matter of deploying troops can be discussed later. Lu Bumiang was shocked after hearing this, unable to believe it. Qing Xian sobbed and pointed to his own face, "If I don't do this, do you think I'm wearing makeup?" Despite this, he hesitated, "I'm ready for the Blood Flame Heavenly Gate. If we give up now, doesn't that mean all our preparations will be in vain? Moreover, our sect just unified the Great Way, and morale is high. It's not appropriate to strike down morale. We still need a lot of resources, and we must send troops. That guest elder might still have a chance of winning." Lu Bumiang tried to persuade him. Qing Xian coldly analyzed, "The slashing god elder has always been humble. The reason the Jade Qing sect became the #1 sect in the Great Yin is because, on the surface, his cultivation seems to be at the void realm, but he gives off an unfathomable aura. Even if that guest elder battles him, he might not gain the upper hand. Junior brother knows that my intuition is very accurate. I am not afraid of one possibility, but afraid of 1,000 possibilities." After hearing this, Lu Bumiang immediately fell into a dilemma. After a moment, he suddenly turned around and loudly announced, "Target changed, we will strike at Zaiwanzu." The soldiers were momentarily stunned, not understanding his meaning. Lu Bumiang raised his hands and proclaimed loudly, "The Jiolong sect of Zaiwanzu has recently encountered some changes. We must strike them hard while they are weak. This is our opportunity." After hearing this, the soldiers below immediately raised their weapons and slogans, responding enthusiastically. At this moment, Qing Xian turned and left. When he heard his senior brother say he was going to battle, he immediately thanked him with joy. Under Li Bumiang's respectful bow, he was still deep in thought. How could there be such a powerful expert in the Great Yin? At this time, in the northern part of the Great Yin, the wind and snow continued to rage on the mountaintop. The Demon King of Bamboo looked at the monsters in front of him, their expressions respectful. From now on, you will all be my demon generals. Is there any objection? The beast demon was the first to respond and obey the Demon King's orders. Lord, when can we shed blood in the Great Yan's human race? His eyes flickered. When did I ever say we would shed blood on the human race? Suddenly, the Demon King's eyes swept across, seemingly surprised. His gaze quickly locked onto Yang Tiandong, who was respectfully kneeling. The Demon King of Bamboo observed two different auras, one was demonic power, and the other was human energy. A smile of interest appeared at the corner of his mouth, half human, half demon, yet the aura is still this strong. Well hidden, no wonder they didn't notice. Then, the Demon King spoke and called him over, which startled Yang Tiandong. In front of the Demon King's massive figure, Yang Tiandong felt a suffocating fear. The entire atmosphere was oppressive. Yang Tiandong stood up and looked up at the Demon King of Bamboo. Perhaps he was walking toward the abyss, and the Demon King was the master of that abyss. As he thought of this, suddenly something came to mind, and his eyes widened in terror. It's over. At the same time, in a certain place of the Jiolong sect, a man was tightly chained to a rock several times bigger than his body, breathing heavily and shouting, Wei Yuan. As he gasped, he roared, I will never coexist with you in this lifetime. At this moment, he revealed a grim smile and walked closer with a knife. Senior brother, how many years has it been since I returned from the Jade Qing sect? Wei Yuan, holding the knife, approached the man. Let me tell you, it's been 16 years. Do you know how I've spent these 16 years? Since I returned, I've been suppressed by you. It took a great effort to buy over your subordinates. His eyes were filled with hatred and anger. Facing the blade close to his neck, the man still kept his eyes closed. Junior brother, you wouldn't have thought this through so carefully. Who exactly are you? After a while, Wei Yuan, dressed in blood-stained clothes, walked out. Several disciples of the Jiolong sect immediately greeted him respectfully. One of them asked, what is our development direction? Where is the sect master? He coldly replied, just focus on intense cultivation. Suddenly, the man proposed to attack the Great Yen, which surprised Wei Yuan, and he immediately turned around. His roar echoed through the building, no one is allowed to mention the Great Yen again. Several disciples immediately responded, understood. At this moment, Han Ju was looking at the Book of Misfortune. Li Qianlong's name had already been crossed out, while Xiao Yi and Qing Xian were still there. He couldn't help but frown and sigh, it's been so long, and there's still no change. Selling junk doesn't bring in much money, and grilling meat is more useful than you. Those who want to die just can't. Han Ju put down the Book of Misfortune, stretching lazily with exhaustion. In the last battle, I didn't consider the enemy being as cautious as I am. Xiao Yi couldn't do anything about him. In the future, when encountering enemies, we must use the big moves to kill them instantly. Suddenly, someone shouted, Elder Han. Li Changzi hurriedly raised his hand and ran over to report loudly, this is bad. Contrary to his urgency, Han Ju coldly said, did the demon beasts come again, or is the blood flame heavenly sect attacking? Li Changzi immediately denied it and then explained that Wei Yuan had risen to become the new sect master of the Jiolong sect. Will he come here for revenge? Upon hearing this, Han Ju was also surprised and opened his mouth. He recalled that person's contemptuous face. Do I need to be the sect master? Then he sweated and forced a smile. Is that even possible? Han Ju secretly sent Wei Yuan a golden badge to resolve the internal strife. He glanced at the system notification. Jiolong sect master Huang Zuentian. He couldn't help but exclaim, as expected, it's you, old Huang. With this thought, Han Ju spoke to comfort Chang Jiao, don't worry, I had an agreement with Wei Yuan, he won't come to cause trouble for me. Seeing Han Ju's confidence, Li Changzi was also invigorated, that's great, Elder Han. Afterward, Han Ju was about to leave to continue his cultivation when he was called by Li Changzi again. He turned around in confusion and looked at Li Changzi, is there anything else? Li Changzi suggested that Han Ju take the position of the fourth generation sect master, you have contributed so much to the Jade Qing sect over the years. Your achievements surpass others, and you should be the sect master. No one is more suitable than you. The more Li Changzi spoke, the more persuasive he became. In response to his enthusiasm, Hanju coldly rejected him. He turned and entered the cave residence, facing Li Changzi's earnest request. Being sect master is not so easy. Enduring daily work is fine, but the most crucial thing is there's no time for cultivation. Then, Li Changzi became an invisible stone statue in front of the cave residence. Zun Chang'an casually walked by him with a water bucket. Li Changzi watched him water the flowers inside. After so many years of hard cultivation, the immortal mountain has grown so big. What kind of genius treasure could it be to generate such powerful spiritual energy during gestation? Moreover, this demonic pet's cultivation was already at the golden core level, stronger than some disciples in the sect. It was even better than a chicken. Li Changzi looked at the black-eyed chicken. Suddenly, someone walked from behind. Li Changzi thought it was another golden core demon creature. The next moment, upon seeing the person, Li Changzi was terrified and exclaimed, "Heavens, half human, half demon." Shortly after, Yang Tiandong walked coldly in front of Hanju and greeted him. Hanju coldly responded, "So, you know how to come back?" Hanju crossed his arms helplessly and let him cry, falling into his arms. "I was caught by a demon king." Yang Tiandong howled in pain. "After going through countless hardships, I became a demon king. The demon tribe's subordinates have deep feelings for me and can't bear to part with me." He still sarcastically remarked, "Your image as a demon king is really unconvincing." It wasn't until he mentioned the most powerful demon king, Dian Su, appearing in Great Yan's history that he froze. Could it be that 10,000-year-old demon? Yang Tiandong gritted his teeth. "The previous demon kings could only submit, and even forced me to be his adopted son. He secretly planned to cultivate the Great Yan people and is now preparing to lead the demon tribe toward the borders of Great Yan." As soon as he finished speaking, Hanju's face immediately darkened, and he coldly ordered, "Say it again." Yang Tiandong repeated the news about Dian Su Demon King planning to unify Great Yan, but Hanju made him repeat the earlier sentence. Yang Tiandong said dejectedly, "Dian Su Demon King forced me to be his adopted son, and I couldn't refuse." After that, Hanju immediately became enraged, grinding his teeth. "He actually took my son. How strong is he? Dian Su Demon King is at least in the harmonization realm. With his aura, he could kill us all." After thinking for a moment, he suddenly kneeled on the ground, shouting, "I used the excuse of going to investigate Great Yan to escape. Let's leave quickly." Hanju, upon hearing they weren't planning to escape, immediately looked up in anxiety. Hanju coldly sneered, "Now you go back to see that demon king, and tell him that the master greatly admires him. Anyway, speak well of me, make him have a good impression of me." Hanju smiled, narrowing his eyes. He was flustered by that smile, hesitating as he said, "Master, are you planning to ally with the enemy?" Hanju didn't answer, only kicking Yang Tiandong out of the cave. "Just do as I say." 3 months later, after reading the system notification, Hanju exclaimed in surprise, "Suchi actually joined the demon beast sect." Hanju sighed, then continued meditating, when suddenly the system reminded him that Dian Su Demon King had developed a good impression of him. Hanju was immediately overjoyed. "Yang Tiandong is really impressive, though I don't know how you persuaded him." Meanwhile, his obedient disciple was excitedly showing a painting, in which Hanju looked incredibly charming. "This is my master, everyone has always admired him." The demons immediately agreed, "What a beautiful person. How about we make her the chief wife? What do you think?" Yang Tiandong immediately corrected, "Hanju is not a woman." He calmly reassured the demons, "We don't mind these things, look how happy the master is." Elsewhere, Hanju slammed the Book of Misfortune onto the table. "Everything is ready. With the 4th level harmonization realm relying on my 7th level void realm strength, the chance of victory isn't high now. But no matter how strong a cultivator is, the Book of Misfortune cannot calculate causality. While it can't curse the enemy to death, it can make them develop a sense of disgust, regardless of their cultivation level. As long as these people are on the friends list, the Book of Misfortune can target them for cursing. If only their name is written, the curse's power won't be enough to kill the enemy. Li Qianlong is an example. The key is, Hanju has never fully used the curse, as it requires a large amount of spiritual power. This time, I'll try cursing Dian Su Demon King with all my spiritual energy. The Book of Misfortune emitted a glow, causing Hanju's face to slightly twist. The light seemed to seep into every inch of his skin, illuminating every millimeter of his face. The system also issued a harsh warning: excessive use of the Book of Misfortune will result in backlash. Suddenly, Dian Su Demon King howled in pain. With his roar, countless drops of blood splattered in all directions. He struggled to sit on the ground and coughed violently, spitting blood for nearly 5 hours. Is this a curse? Who did I offend to dare use such a method? Dian Zhu gasped in exhaustion, blood continuously flowing from his mouth. Could it be that they have come back? This is impossible. Time rewinds tens of thousands of years. Back then, he was left speechless, terrified by the scene before him. In front of him, countless beams of light pierced through the cloudy sky, shooting directly at the ground, a divine miracle. He had also witnessed celestial beings and Buddhas in the sky. Now, Dian Zhu couldn't help but think, did they find out about the plan to destroy Great Yen, so they came to warn me? Hanju wasn't at ease either. It was his first time casting a curse for 5 continuous hours. Upon reading the notification about Dian Zhu Demon King being cursed, Hanju couldn't help but be surprised. The Book of Misfortune finally responded. This is the first time. He closed the Book of Misfortune with force. That's enough. The effect of using it with full power is indeed domineering. Although it caused 10,000 damage to the enemy, it inflicted 800 damage on myself. Hanju himself suffered side effects, with internal bleeding. He sat cross-legged, gazing outside, and decided, I will curse Dian Zhu Demon King every 3 years, so that this guy will no longer scheme against us. 5 years later, at a place where 2 trees intertwined into a strange shape. The coat hanging on the rack made a faint wheezing sound. Xing Hongchuan's face turned red, sweating profusely, glancing at Hanju who was panting heavily. He looked up with a satisfied expression. Right, let's do it this way, it feels really good. She was so hot from the spice that she kept fanning herself. What dish did my husband make? Hanju happily replied, it's snail noodles, I used to make it very well. Suddenly, he sensed 2 presences from the void realm approaching Yuqing sect, and immediately turned his head. One of them is a familiar face. Seeing Hanju suddenly stand up, Xing Hongchuan asked in confusion if he was leaving. Hanju told her to wait for him and then left. Xing Hongchuan looked at the fragrant bowl of snail noodles, her mouth watering. Husband, come back quickly, it'll be bad if it gets cold. Or should I help you finish it? At that moment, Hanju sensed the 2 presences had arrived at the front of Yuqing sect. So this is Yuqing sect? I see. Shangguan Qiujian sneered in disdain. Are there really any experts here? What are you talking about? I don't feel any particularly strong sword intent, seems like nothing special. Huang Jihao responded calmly, don't start boasting yet. Suddenly, a sound came from behind, startling them into immediately turning around. Seeing Hanju walking toward them seriously, Huang Jihao quickly greeted Shangguan Qiujian while also wondering when he had arrived, as he hadn't sensed him at all. Shangguan Qiujian opened his eyes in disbelief. Is this the senior Huang Jihao described? He was holding an abstract painting of Huang Jihao, asking him to go back and redo it. Huang Jihao awkwardly explained that he hadn't realized the senior had changed his hairstyle, while Hanju stood ominously watching them. He hurriedly explained, Senior, rest assured, we mean no harm. This is Shangguan Qiujian, the first swordsman of the Zhenwu sect in Shiyuan continent. He has come here to discuss swordsmanship and have a duel with you. Hanju was speechless upon hearing about the duel. He's only just reached the 9th level of the Dongxi realm. How dare he do this? Over there, Shangguan Qiujian seemed very confident. Fellow Taoist, rest assured, it's just a duel. It won't affect the relationship between Yuqing sect and Zhenwu sect. He sighed in frustration, lowering his head. I'm a person who dislikes trouble. I'll strike once. If you can block it,